Right, I'm just making a quick video. This morning on YouTube, I've just watched Gary Economics predicting what would happen in the budget. So this is a response video to his video. I don't want to slag off Gary Economics. He's not my cup of tea. I know a lot of people like him. He's got over 1 million subscribers. I've got 1,000. But basically, it's a 17-minute video, and all it he doesn't tell you anything. I thought the idea was sort of to predict what taxes were going up during the budget, but he doesn't tell you anything. He just said just 17 minutes of waffling on about taxing the rich and basically going, you know, if that's the poor and if that's the middle classes, they should come together and fight the rich. That is basically it. The video, when you watch the video, he looks like he's in like a bed sit in London. If you look at the in the background, there's some like crappy kitchen cupboards that could do with a makeover. And there's a metal saucepan overturned, making it look like he's just had some beans on toast for his tea. Gary Economics used to be a stockbroker. He say he's got 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And I'm telling you now, that's getting him about 150 grand a year in revenue from YouTube, plus all his work that he do on TV, TV interviews and stuff like that. He's got to be on. He's got to be on 300 grand a year, something like that. So to go through this sort of pretense that he's poor and he's one of the people, and he's talking, he sort of speaks in a sort of street. He's appealing to the man on the street, who likes taking spice. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, what I wanted to talk about is what I think the government will do during the next budget. Um, and basically, what I think is, they said in their manifesto they can't raise income tax, they can't raise VAT. They're limited to what they can raise. But I think what they will do, I think it will be taxes on housing. That's what I think. So what the things they were on about doing was putting VAT on rental income. So if you're renting a house now, right? Say you're renting a house for £1,000 a month. Now, if the government would turn around and go, "Oh, we're going to put VAT on that at 20%," you'd be paying £1,200 a month. And the government would be getting a nice 200 quid. Now, I don't think they'll do 20%. I think they'll do 10%. That's what I think they'll do. And most people, if you're living up north and you rent 700, it's another 70 quid a month they've got out of you, isn't it? 10%. So there you go. That's my first prediction. I think they'll put VAT on rents. Licensing schemes. Now, I know somebody who had a flat in Nottingham, and he had to pay something like 500 or 600 quid one-off fee to be part of the Nottingham City Centre licensing scheme. I think there'll be more of that going on. I think all councils everywhere will be told to introduce a licensing scheme, and it might be, it won't matter. I don't think it'll matter how many properties you've got, but it'll be a flat 600 quid for 5 years to get on the licensing scheme. They won't come out and check. They won't do anything. They might employ council might employ two people to run it, and they'd get a load of money in, sort of thing. Right, the next thing, I think inheritance tax. Now, I did have a look on here. Let's just have a quick look. What is the top rate for inheritance tax? I can't find it on my laptop, but I believe it's from memory, I think it's 325,000. So I think, you know, if a relative leaves you a house, I know I had this with my mum, you know, her house that she lived in, you know, I think the house was valued at, I think it was valued at like 350 grand or something, 350 grand. Then the inheritance tax was 325, and maybe I had to pay, I don't know, 10 grand or 4 grand or 5 grand or something. But I think they'll change the inheritance tax. So at the minute, I think over the figures might be wrong, but I think over the 325, I think you're looking at a 40% inheritance tax. Now, what I think they'll do, I think they'll bring the amount you can the limit. I think they'll bring the limit down, and they'll say, you know, everybody's going to pay inheritance tax over 200,000. You're paying inheritance tax, but I think instead of paying the 40%, it'll be 20%. That's what I think they'll do. So I think they'll bring it down from the 325 down to say 200, and then they'll go, oh, let's make it fair on everybody. It's 20%. That's one thing I think they'll do. I think sort of other measures, you know, another measure that I did look at, which they could do, is insurance. Now, there's no VAT on insurance, and again, who's to say, you know, like your buildings insurance on your house, you might be paying, you know, 500 quid. Well, what's the betting? They can turn around and go, right, we'll put a 10% insurance, VAT on insurance, and you're paying 550 quid, and you get a nice 50 quid bung to the government. So I think that could be something else that they could look at as well. And I think like pensions as well. You know, I know like if you look through my other videos, I opened a SIP, right? And from what I can understand with this SIP, if I was to pay in 10 grand into my pension, the government would give me 2.5 grand, or no, maybe a bit more than that, three grand, because they pay, you know, 2.5 grand. They pay a 25. You get 25% back, sort of thing, on a pension contribution. You get it at work. If you're in a work-based pension, you know, you pay and your employer pays, and then the government pays 20, you know, whatever, 20%. You know, I reckon that could go. I reckon that could be knocked on the head. And again, you know, with everybody that's working, saving 20% on all your pensions everywhere, I think that could be a good money saver, right? So they're my predictions for what I think the government could do. Now I'm just going to go through what I think they should do. And what they should do, one, is civil servants. I've just had a look on the internet, and apparently we have got 522,000 civil servants, right? Now, I'm saying what they could do what they did in America, what Elon Musk did, the Doge, and I reckon you could cut that in half. I reckon that 500,000 civil servants, you could go, right, 250,000 civil servants, and you get rid of half of them. Let's be honest, a lot of them are probably in their 50s and their 60s. They'd be good for a pension payout. They're probably happy to go. You know, go, right. Well, we'll take our a lump out of a pension. I can get a job at Tesco's pushing trolleys. Happy days, you know. So that's one thing they should do. Obviously, you know, people are going to think it's racist or whatever, but the asylum seekers, you know, why are we giving them 50 quid a week, mobile phones, sticking them in decent hotels? You know, they should be in an airfield with barbed wire around them, living on a camp bed, being fed pork. You know, pork's cheap. You know, some of them might be Muslims, but just go, look, it's just too bad, mate. You got to get some. You got to get some pork now. Your pork chops, pork loin chops. Feed them pork. That's what I should do. Discourage them from coming. You know, and then me going back to me old thing. You know, the monarchy. You know, the amount of money that we spend on the monarchy, the government could save a hell of a lot of money. You know, if they cut that sovereign grants and also made the monarchs pay a bit of inheritance tax, they could save a lot of money. So I hope you found that useful. But that's my predictions for the government, for the budget and what the government should do, and a bit of a rant about poor old Gary Economics. Do have a look at his video. Okay, cheers, bye.